Hey guys, I'm Elizabeth Newsom and welcome to my booktube channel. Today I'll be telling you a bit about the freshman 15, the keto diet, and some of the health tips I've learned about while I've been in college. So story time. I've never actually gained the freshman 15, but I did gain 8 pounds in like 4 weeks. But it was really weird because it happened all at once. And what's kind of ironic is it happened while I was on a diet, specifically the keto diet. So essentially keto's no carbs, and you try to eat a lot of protein and fat. So I did that. I didn't really keep track of my calories just because I'd heard of another friend doing it who kind of did it that way, and I assumed I could do the same. Well, honestly, I log calories on a day-to-day basis, even when I'm not on a specific diet, just because I'm really bad at estimating what I need. Sometimes I'll overeat because I don't realize how calorie dense something is and I'm not full, so I'll just eat more. Or sometimes I'll undereat because I won't get hungry, or I'll get hungry and I'll keep working and doing homework and I'll just forget that I'm hungry and the hunger feeling will go away. So again, really bad at estimating what my calorie intake should be, which is why I rely a lot on logging my calories. So that was probably one of my first mistakes with the keto diet. Another thing that maybe made the keto diet kind of not as effective for me is that I'm not really obese anyway, and I don't have a lot of fat necessarily to lose. I've heard for some people it works really well, and I've done a lot of research on it because I'm like, hey, does this actually work? Because I freaking gained 8 pounds. And it does absolutely work. There was this test that they did with obese patients, and they put them on this specific type of keto diet where they were supposed to have so much protein, and they were supposed to have 80% of their fats monosaturated and 20% polysaturated, or vice versa. It might have been the other way around. I forgot. Anyway, all the patients lost weight and they had a lot of really good results. So the p-value for losing weight and fat was like less than 0.01. So for those of you who haven't taken stats, that just means that there's less than a 1% chance likelihood that the results of this study were purely by chance. Which means that it has a really strong evidence supporting that the keto diet helps you lose weight. Except it didn't help me lose weight. Like at first, when I weighed myself and I was like significantly heavier than I usually am, I'm like, okay, maybe that's a lot of muscle. So I measured my waist, and my waist had also gotten bigger by like a good inch. So I was like, all right, this isn't just pure muscle, this is a problem. So I went back to my normal diet, and I'll show you some of what I do. I use MyFitnessPal. Oh, look at that, you can see my reflection. And my goal for every day is around 1,790 calories. So for macros, I haven't eaten anything today. That's actually one of my health tips that I forgot to add on my outline for this video, but I don't really have breakfast. Sometimes I'll work out in the morning and I'll follow it up by a protein shake, which is about 180 calories, just because it's really important to get protein within 30 minutes after you exercise if you really want to fuel your muscles. So I haven't worked out today, and I'll work out in a little while, like an hour or two, which means I haven't had breakfast. And people say breakfast is really important, but there's also this thing called intermediate fasting where it's almost better for you to have food within this kind of window, which means having 2 meals instead of 1. And also, I kind of like it doing it this way because that way I could have bigger portions for lunch and dinner. Although the downside to that is that sometimes I get really full for lunch and dinner and I won't feel like eating anymore, and then it's hard to eat enough calories that day. Like the other day, I did not have nearly enough calories, at least according to what I logged. I had 1,241 calories. Again, maybe I logged it wrong. Maybe one of the foods I put in wasn't completely accurate. Don't really know what happened, but I was just so full and I didn't want to eat anymore. So anyway, my macro goals are like 40%, 30%, 30%. So 40% carbs, 30% fat, and 30 protein. And that means I have 134 grams of protein a day, which is, I've heard you're about to have as many grams of protein as pounds you weigh, or even a little less. So I do not weigh 134 pounds. I'm more like 117-ish, sometimes 118 in the morning. So yeah, it's a really high protein diet. I just want to make sure I'm getting enough. And then I have 179 grams for carbs and 60 grams for fat. But like I said, I didn't log it all during the keto diet, and then I gained 8 pounds and it wasn't pure muscle. So with that said, the keto diet might work great for you, but with me it made me gain like 8 pounds. So the week after, I went back to my normal diet and I actually lost 6 pounds. I was pretty happy with that overall. Before I came to college, I weighed about 115 sometimes. And now, like I said, I'm more like 117, 118. But I don't feel like I'm significantly fatter. And I think a lot of that is just because I work out a lot more than I do, so hopefully that's muscle. So there's my experience with the freshman 15 or freshman 8 for me, and also the keto diet. Now I'm going to share with you guys some health tips, some of which you've likely heard of before, some of which you've probably never heard before. So of course, first of all, 8 hours of sleep. I know college students don't like to do that. They'd rather stay up late and then get up right before they need to go to class, and then go to class all sleepy and tired, fall asleep during class, which just isn't a great idea in my mind. So I always get a solid 8 hours of sleep from 9:30 to 5:30 a.m. Sometimes it's not exactly that. If I stay up, usually it's 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. But getting 8 hours of sleep, I feel like, has really, really helped me. Like, college can wear you out and it can exhaust you. So part of preventing that and making sure that you're at your best is just getting 8 hours of sleep at night. Next, there's exercise. So I exercise 6 days a week, but I switch off what muscle groups I exercise. I try to give each muscle group I exercise at least 24 hours of full rest. And also, even if you're not sore, that doesn't mean the muscle doesn't need to be repaired. Sometimes you'll only be sore if the muscle's torn apart in a certain way. So if I do a core exercise one day and I'm not sore the next day, I will still skip doing a core exercise the next day just to give my muscles a break. So for exercise, one of my friends who's going to major in wellness said that there are 4 main groups of exercise. There's stretching, balance, cardio, and strength. For strength training, I like to get at least 3, if not 4 or 5 workouts a week. Overall, I work out 6 times per week. For cardio, usually I'll do it at least once, and at most 3 times. For stretching and balance, usually I do a yoga exercise. I don't do those very often, like maybe once per week at the most. And I know it's good for you, but at the same time, I really like strength exercises better because it feels like I'm being productive and I'm in pain and I'm doing something. And also cardio tip. I have a 5K and a few weekends that I'd like to do with some friends, so I did some research on jogging and how you should breathe while you jog. And research shows that you put more strain on the same side that you exhale on. So if you inhale 2, exhale 2, if you inhale and put down your right foot, then your left foot, exhale when you put down your right foot, then your left foot, you're exhaling when your right foot hits the ground. And when you always exhale on that side, it wears out that side over time. So I did some research, and apparently the best way to breathe while you jog is to inhale for 3 steps, exhale for 2. That way it always switches what side you're exhaling on, so it'll better balance out the strain on your body. And of course there are some other cardio things, don't go into it too quickly, warm up slowly, do walking for 1 lap, then a little jog a little faster and a little faster. And I've learned, especially when you're getting into a type of exercise that's somewhat newer for you, like jogging for me, typically I do strength or an elliptical, then just make sure you take it really slowly. Yeah, you're not going to get the kind of time you want jogging at first, you're not going to lift as much weight as you want at first, but you're going to prevent yourself from getting injured, and you will thank me over the long term. Next tip is to make sure to do it with friends. There's nothing like exercising with friends because I feel like you push yourself a little bit harder, and also they're there to hold you accountable. And it's just so much more fun to do socializing and exercise at the same time, and a lot of times you can push your friends to do better and they'll do the same for you. And then finally there's walking. Walking is kind of an underrated exercise because we tend to sit a lot in our society. You sit when you're having fun and reading, or when you're on your phone. You sit when you're studying, you sit when you're in class, you sit when you're eating. We do a lot of sitting. So something I've done is I got this Fitbit for Christmas. It's just a really simple Fitbit Flex. And while I probably don't walk as much as I should, it'll give me a little buzz every hour if I haven't gotten up and taken enough steps. So my goal is at least 250 steps per hour. If I haven't met that, it'll buzz just 10 minutes before the hour is over. And then I'll do a quick walk around the dorm hallways, which kind of looks weird, and I have people asking whoa, where did you come from? Or where are you walking to? Why are you just walking around the hallways? But it helps me get a bit more walking in, and I feel like it's healthier because I'm not sitting for as long of a period of time as I used to be. And I've actually heard that 80% of fitness is diet, while 20% is exercise. So exercise is super important, but if you're not eating right, you're not going to get the results you want. And like I mentioned earlier, try to get some sort of protein within 30 minutes after you finish exercising, even if it was just a jog. If you put any sort of strain on your muscles, you're going to want to intake some protein right after you finish that activity. For me, my goal is usually to have at least 30 grams of protein or so. If I get close to that, like 26 or 27, that's okay. And for me, that's 3 scoops of protein powder. So I've tried a lot of protein powders and some are really nasty. And this protein powder probably isn't the best, but it tastes really good. I enjoy it. Again, protein powder is kind of expensive. For me, like $25 a container. So this is the protein I like to use. Like I said, it tastes really good. I actually take 3 scoops and just mix it with water because I'm lactose intolerant and I don't like the extra sugar and carbs with almond milk. And also, unsweetened almond milk just doesn't taste that great. Another thing I try to do is to only drink water. I actually can't remember the last time when I've had something aside from water, like even juice. So of course, water is really great for you and I probably don't have nearly as much water as I should. And the alternatives to water are usually really, really unhealthy. Like they just tend to have a lot of sugar and they also tend to have a lot of calories and carbs. Because I mean, of course they're liquefied, so it's easy to have more calories and carbs and not really feel like you're as full. And again, I don't do a great job drinking water every day, but I have kind of a schedule worked out for when I drink water. Like I have 24 ounces that I take to the gym with me. And then for every meal, I'll have like a cup or 2 of what I call my dessert water. So my cafeteria at the school has this fruit diffused water. And so I'll have my meal and then after I finish eating, I'll go and I'll fill my glass with the fruit diffused water and I call it my dessert water. So I have that in lieu of dessert and to make sure that I'm having enough water with each meal. Aside from that, I should probably do more with water. I don't. Something else pretty basic is vitamin supplements. I take supplements for calcium because I've noticed that after my nails get like a certain length, they start chipping. And I think that's probably because I'm calcium deficient given that I'm lactose intolerant. And then I have just this gummy women's multivitamin that like tastes really good. So I like nutrition, but I also like it if things could taste good, preferably. And then I log my calories, which I already showed you. I do it on my phone. A lot of times you could use this to scan a barcode. Or in my cafeteria, they have these sheets of paper next to the food, and it'll tell you what that food is, how many calories, the amount of carbs, fat, protein, sodium, sugar, fiber. So usually if I look it up, I can find it. If not, then I can usually log it and create a food group on my own. So of course, you should record and measure the amount of calories you have, but with that, I'd also recommend weighing yourself regularly and measuring your waist size. Like weight tells you a little bit of what's happening and it's good to know roughly how much you weigh and kind of how your weight fluctuates. But there's only so much it could tell you because you could be either gaining weight in muscle or in fat. So sometimes if I've experienced a weight gain and I'm worried about it being muscle or fat, I have a tape measure and I'll measure my waist. Just because muscle won't really expand your stomach a lot, whereas fat obviously will. Naturally, this isn't the most accurate way to do things. I just like recording certain measurements like that so I know roughly where I am and like what's happening with my body. Sometime I'd eventually like to get the kind of scale where you step on and it sends like this little electric pulse through your body and you could tell how much body fat percentage you have. I actually got this Sculpt device called the Flex, I think. And it's this little scanner that has these metal pieces on it and you could scan different parts of your body and it'll send an electric pulse through it. And it'll tell you the muscle quality of that body part and also the percentage of fat. So I used to use one that my brother had and it was really helpful. Unfortunately, this one has a lot of glitches and the app isn't really syncing properly with the device. So I'll probably either A, return it, or B, wait for an update on the app to use it. And then finally, as far as food itself goes, make sure that you have time you're setting aside for sugar breaks. Like I said, this week for me was an entire sugar break, which Caitlin was helping me with. I texted her and asked her to make sure I wouldn't have any sugar this week. And I don't mean any sugar. Like, I had fruit and stuff, but nothing like candy or desserts or cupcakes or ice cream. And even if I'm not doing it for a whole week, usually on the weekdays, Monday to Thursday, I'll avoid any sort of sugar or dessert, and I never get dessert from the cafeteria. Okay, that's not entirely true. On Fridays, sometimes I'll get soft serve, because I love soft serve. Ice cream is amazing. And make it a goal to have protein and vegetables with every single meal. You're naturally going to get enough carbs and fat. Those are really easy to eat, but protein and vegetables are not as easy to eat. And I've actually heard of college students getting scurvy just because they don't eat enough fruits and vegetables while they're in college. And also, no snacks. I try to avoid snacks so I could have bigger, more satisfying meals, and it's kind of fun to be able to have so many calories to eat. I guess if you want snacks, you can have them. Just make sure to be aware of how much you're eating and preferably log it. And then finally, if you're going to a social and you know there will probably be something sweet to eat there and you don't want to eat it, make sure you come to that event already full, having recently eaten, so you're not tempted as much, and also bring your own little snack that you could eat. So if you feel like everyone's eating something and being social, you could still eat something without having to eat what they're eating exactly and avoid the sweet stuff. And my last tip is research. Whenever a friend tells me a fitness or nutrition tip, or whenever I want to know something, my automatic go-to is Google. And usually you could find a lot of good tips online for how to keep healthy and in shape. Well, those are all of the tips I have for you guys for staying fit and healthy, and also my story about my freshman 8. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe because I post one video a week on either books or college because those are two really important parts of my life right now. And in the comments, I'd like to hear from you guys. Tell me some of your main health tips or things that you try to do just to stay healthy in general. Let me know down below and I'll see you next time. Bye!